Welcome back, and this is the continuation of our learning of Amazon RDS. And in this video, we are going to be looking at how we can securely connect to the RDS database, which is hosted in a private subnet. As you may understand that in the production environment, your database is going to be in the private subnet because you wouldn't want anybody or everybody to have access to the database. And you are also going to limit the um, the type of traffic or the kind of traffic that will be allowed or that will actually even get to the database. If you recall, in our previous videos, just because we are trying to connect to the database in the simplest form, we tend to allow public access to the database. And if you recall, I always mentioned that that was a terrible thing to do. You don't give public access to your database. And so in this video, we are going to be looking at one of the common ways of securely connecting to your database. And that will be connecting through an EC2 machine. So we are going to set up an EC2 machine like you see on the screen here. Now we have our region. Okay, so we are going to be working within a single region. We are going to have our VPC that is going to span across multiple availability zones. Then we are going to have our subnet. So we are going to have a public subnet and we are going to have a private subnet. So in the public subnet, we are going to host our EC2 machine, which is going to act as a kind of a terminal through which we will be connecting to our RDS database that is hosted in the private subnet. Now, the EC2 machine is going to be in the public subnet and it's going to be internet facing. That is, we're going to allow traffic, from public or from whichever way to come into the EC2 machine. But we are going to limit the traffic that will be coming into the database to be restricted to only the traffic from this EC2 machine. So what I mean is that this database, okay, will not get traffic from anywhere apart from traffic that is coming from our EC2 machine. And we are going to do this. We are going to achieve this by setting up a security group. Okay, we are going to set up a security group, and that security group we only allow that security group. Okay, we are going to have. This is what we are going to do. We are going to have a security group attached to our EC2 machine. We are also going to have a security group attached to our RDS database. But we are going to configure it such that the security group of the EC2 machine will be completely empty because we are not really expecting traffic from the we are not accepting traffic from the outside because we are going to be connecting our EC2 machine through a service called Session Manager, okay, which is managed by AWS System Manager. So this Session Manager will provide us with one security. One, we wouldn't need to have a key pair, okay? We don't need key pair because we are not going to be using SSH, okay? We are not going to be using SSH. SSH is one of the common way in which we can connect to our EC2 machine. But in this case, we are not going to be using it because with the key pair, if you want to SSH, you're not going to need a key pair and you're going to need a public IP. Okay. When you need all these, it exposes your compute. It exposes your infrastructure to to attack attack vectors. So we're going to limit such by connecting through what we call session manager. So we're going to use that session manager to connect to EC2 machine, and from there we'll now connect from the EC2 machine to the database. So, like I said, we are going to configure the database of the security group of the database to only take in traffic from the security group of the EC2 machine. So, and that is how our architecture is going to be implemented. So, what we're going to do now is that we're going to jump on our AWS console, and we're going to create all this infrastructure one after the other. We will start by creating the VPC. From the VPC, we'll create our internet gateway. Okay, internet gateway is the one that that allows internet into the VPC. So we're going to be connecting the internet gateway to the to the public internet, to the public subnet, because that one needs an internet. But we will not. There will be no route between the private internet and the internet gateway. There will be no route because we don't want any internet traffic to the private subnet. So we're going to be doing all that. So after setting up the VPC, we'll connect the internet gateway, we'll set up our subnet, we'll set up route table, and we're going to do that for the private one too. And we'll go ahead and see how we can implement it. So if there's a need for us to make reference to, let me move this, to make reference to all of these, we'll be doing that as we progress in our implementation. So let me just remove all of these and then we'll come back. So let's jump on our AWS console and see what we can do. So this is my AWS access portal, and I'm going to be using, let me use my management account, and I'll be signing in as an administrator. Okay, so now I'm in my management account and I'm in the AWS console. So the first thing is to go and create the VPC. So I have my VPC as one of my favorite here. If you like, you can just type VPC, you can select VPC. So this VPC, I'm going to call it, I'll click on VPC, I'll click on create VPC, and I will give it our infra VPC, or let me just call it, infra VPC. That is our infrastructure VPC, and I will give it a CIDR of 10.0.0.0/16. Okay, and I will create VPC. I will leave the tag as it is, and I will create VPC. When you create a VPC, okay, we have created the VPC now, which is this. Your VPC needs an internet, and that will be provided by Internet Gateway. So I'll go to Internet Gateway, I will create Internet Gateway, and I will call it Infra Internet Gateway, IGW. I don't need any tag, I will create Internet Gateway. When you create an Internet Gateway, you need to connect it to the VPC. It is right over here. It has given you the tab attached to a VPC. I will click on that and I will select my VPC, which is infra VPC, and I will click on attach to VPC. So that means now our VPC now have an internet access because we have attached an internet gateway. So the next thing now is to go and create our subnet. So I'll click on create subnet. We are going to be creating 2 subnets. We are going to need 3 subnets, okay? But for now, let's create 2, and I will explain why I want to create 2, and we'll fix it when the problem happens. So I'll first go and create subnet, and the first thing is which of the VPC. That is our infra VPC. And what is the name of our subnet? I will call this one server subnet, which is the one that will house the EC2 machine. So I will call it server subnet, and it's a public subnet, so I will call it public. Okay, and this is the CIDR range, and I'm going to give it a CIDR block of 10.0.1.0/24, which is a CIDR block inside this. Okay, and I think we've done that, and I will go ahead and create subnet. Okay, now whenever you create a subnet, you need to associate your subnet there's something we call with the route table, but let's create all the subnet first so that we don't have to go forth and back. So we can create everything all at once, but just for your understanding. So I'll go again and create subnet, infra, and this time I will call it the database subnet, so which is RDS subnet, and it's going to be private, so I'll call it private. And it is going to be, we need two of it, okay? We need two of this subnet. So let me just call this one as for now, because your RDS need minimum of two subnets for it to be created. So we are going to create one now, and I'm going to show you when the error is thrown up. We will now fix it by creating the second subnet. So just bear that in mind. So it's asking us which of the availability. So I have no preference, but let me just go for US. US is 1A. The data block is there, and I'll give this one 10.0.2.0/24. You must pick your CIDR block so that they must not overlap. So the other one was 2.0, there was 1.0, this one is 2.0. I'll go ahead and create subnet. Now, like I told you, you can create all these subnets all at once on the same console. But just for the purpose of this explanation of this video or demonstration, I'm doing them one after the other. Now I've created the two subnets, one a private and the other one a public. Now the next thing is to create a route table. Route table is the service that shows how traffic will be routed. It's going to show the paths in which traffic, is being directed in your VPC network. So I will go and create route table. The first route table will be my server route table. Okay, that is route table for the server, for the server subnet, and I will choose the VPC, which is the same VPC, and then I will create route table. Immediately you create a route table, you need to attach it to a subnet. And that's what will take us to what we call subnet association. You click subnet association and you click on edit association and you select which of the subnet you want to attach it to. In this case, I want to attach it to my server subnet and I will click save. So now it is what it is associated. It's associated with it. And after that, you now need to show the traffic, which part your traffic will be taking. And you can see under my route table now, it's saying that any traffic from the CIDR block of the VPC should be directed to the local. Now we also need to show it how it's going to direct the traffic to the internet. And so we'll click on edit route and we will say any traffic that is coming from the public, which is 0.0, should be directed to the internet gateway because that is through which the VPC can get internet. It should be directed to the internet gateway, and we will select the internet gateway that we have created. I will click on Save Changes. Now you can see we have a route to the local and a route to the internet. Now we'll go back to route table and create a route table for our private subnet. So I will click on Create Route Table, and I will give it RDS route table. We'll select it still in the same VPC. I will create a route table. As usual, we need to associate our route table to a subnet. I will click on Subnet Association. I will click on Edit Subnet Association, and I'll select my RDS subnet, and I will select it. Here, we do not need internet, so there will be no route to the internet. Now I've created, so let's go back to our architecture. So now we have created our VPC. We have created the subnet, both public and private. We have created our route table in both cases, and we have also attached internet gateway to the VPC. So the next thing we are going to do now is we are going to create our security group. Okay, we are going to create the two security group. So I will go down. I will go onto my security group. You can type. You can just scroll down under security. You will see security group. You click on it. We already have some default security group here, which we don't really want. So I'm just going to delete them. I don't want too many. I'm just going to delete these ones that are unlike more of default. I'll just delete them, delete security group. I will type delete and I will delete them all. Okay, let's refresh. Oh, this one didn't delete. Why? Maybe because it's default. Let me see why it's not deleting. Delete security group. Okay, maybe it's attached to something. It will not be deleted. Okay. Yeah, I don't just want, these are default security group. Okay, default. All right. Um, I will take care of them later. So now let's create security group. So we're going to be creating two security group, one for the EC2 machine and the other one for the RDS. So for the EC2 machine, we'll call it our server security group. Okay. And this one will not allow any traffic. Okay. Okay. We what? Disallow, or let me just say, yeah, disallow traffic because we don't need any traffic coming in here. And in which of the VPC is going to be in our infra VPC. So you can see now that the inbound rule is empty and we're going to leave it as this. If there's a need for us to adjust it, we'll do that later. But you can see the outbound, which one that allow the traffic to go out. Don't forget that we are going to connect to it. So we must allow the outbound traffic so that we'll be able to come in. So here, this is the um, outbound traffic and we're going to keep it as it is. And we'll just go ahead and create security group. Before that, let's add tag. And that tag will still be the same name that we have here. The tag will be the same name. So I will just add tag and the tag will be name and the name will be server security group. And I will create security group. So now I've created the security group for the EC2 machine. I will do the same for the RDS. Now, please pay attention here. I will go back to security group. I will click on create security group. And this one, I will call it RDS security group. And I will say this one is allow traffic only, I'll put it in capital letter, only from the server. So it's only going to accept traffic from the EC2 machine. So we'll select in which VPC, in our infra VPC. And you can see now the what? Inbound rule. We are going to add the inbound rule. And we'll select custom. Now, you have to know as a solution architect, you must have designed your RDS. You must have designed your infrastructure. So you must know which of the RDS engine do you want to use for your RDS. So let's assume you want to use MySQL or you want to use PostgreSQL or MariaDB or Oracle. You must have known that as this will be needed for you to know which of the custom TCP you are going to be selecting. So in my own RDS, my plan is to use PostgreSQL. So I will come here and look for PostgreSQL. If you want to use MySQL, you can use this, but I'm using PostgreSQL, so I will look for PostgreSQL, which is this. So I'm saying now, any traffic that is meant for PostgreSQL, it should be direct to a custom source, and from where it is, it has to be from only the server. So we are going to look for the security group of the server, which is this, and we are going to select it. So what we are saying now is that this will only accept traffic from the server. The description is what? It will only accept traffic from the server and from no any other place. So we'll go ahead and we'll, let's also add a tag. We'll go there, add tag, and the tag is name, and it's going to be RDS SG. We are going to create security group. Now, if we go back to security group, we can see that we have created two security group, one for the server and the other one for our RDS. So if we go back to our diagram, we've completed all these. We've created security group in both places. Now we have to set up our server in the public subnet and our RDS in the private subnet. Now, something is very instructive here. For us to set our EC2 machine, we have said that our EC2 machine is not going to be connected or it's not going to be accessed through SSH. We are not going to be using SSH. SSH is the common way of accessing your EC2 machine. But in this, for the purpose of to improve security posture, we are not going to be using SSH. And instead, we are going to be using SSM. So that means we don't need port 22, which is for SSH. So, however, there is something called system AWS System Manager. It is the AWS System Manager that enable us to use SSM, which is Session Manager. Okay, so for this to happen, we need to attach a role. We need to attach a role, which is a kind of a permission to allow our EC2 machine to connect to system manager. Okay, let's understand it again. We have system manager. AWS system manager is the one that controls or that manages SSM. Okay, so for your EC2 to be able to use SSM, it must be connected and get the appropriate permission between your EC2 machine and your system manager. Okay, so we need to attach a role, and that role will give the EC2 machine the permission to access SSM, and SSM will provide the session manager service through which we can connect through our EC2 machine. And this role is called an SSM instance role. I'm going to show you what that permission is and a role that we have created from it. So I will just quickly click on IAM. If you like, you can type it. If you like, you can select it. I'll type on IAM. I'll open it under tab. I will come here. I will click on policies, and I will call it, let me see, SSM. Maybe I can see it. Um, SSM. Okay, I'm looking at it. Okay, this is the permission. Look at it here. The permission is called Amazon SSM Manage Instant Call. And if you look at that permission, that permission allow the connectivity between, it allows all this action, SSM action, to be performed, okay, by whichever service that is attached to it. So we have used this permission to create a role. We have created a role called, I think I call it SSM. So this is the role. If you look at the role and you click on this role, you can see that we have attached a policy, the same policy that I showed you just now. Okay, that's what we have attached to that role. So it is this role that we are now going to attach to our EC2 machine, and that's why I call it EC2 Session Manager Policy. So, but that is not what we want to learn here. I just want to let you know what we are going to be doing. So now I'm going to head over to my EC2 machine now, and I'm going to set up the EC2 machine. Now, we have two ways in which we are going to be setting up an EC2 machine that you want to use with your RDS. So let's first go with the first approach, and I will just click on my EC2 option. Then I'm in the EC2 terminal. I will click on Launch Instance, and I will put it on as our server. Okay, our RDS server. I'll just call it RDS server, and I'll go with Ubuntu. Now, let me quickly mention this. The session manager, okay, let me quickly take you back to the diagram once again. The session manager, okay, the AWS system manager, okay, is a service that provides a service called session manager that allow you to connect to your EC2 machine. Now, for the SSM session to occur on EC2 machine, there's something we call SSM agent. This SSM agent need to be installed on your EC2. It is this SSS agent that will automatically enroll your what? It will automatically enroll your EC2 to be managed by the system manager. When you install SSM agent on EC2 machine, then your system manager will be able to detect it and enroll it as something we call managed instance. So it becomes um, a managed instance on the SSM or AWS system manager. It will be able to manage your EC2 machine. Now, most of the latest EC2 machine, AMI, are pre-installed with SSM agent, most of them. So, and I believe this one should be too. So I'm going to go with Ubuntu, and Ubuntu 24.0 should be pre-installed with SSM, I believe. If it is not, then we have to install it. So I'll select Ubuntu SSM. I will just increase this so that it will be more effective. I'll go with T2 medium. T2 micro is also fine. We don't need key pair. That is one of the security. We don't need the key pair because we are going to be connecting to SSM. Now, under networking, I'm going to click on edit, and I'm going to select our VPC, which is our infra VPC. And this one, I'm going to be, this is our server, so it has to be in the public. It has to be in the public subnet. So I'll select the public subnet, and we need the to enable IP. And we're going to select security group. Since you have created it, we'll click on select security group, and we'll click our drop down and select our server security group. And then under the advanced, I think we are fine. Let's look at it here under the advanced. Don't forget, we need to attach our role, the role that will allow our EC2 machine to connect to session manager. So let's continue. I'll leave this one as okay. Let me just make it trendy. It doesn't matter. I think 8 should be okay. And I will click on advanced settings. And you can see here, I am instance role. And that is where we're going to attach that SSM role that I show you. And this is my SSM role for EC2. I will attach it, and I will go ahead and create my EC2 machine. I think this is fine. What other thing do we need? I think we are good. So let's go ahead and launch EC2 machine. So now we have launched our EC2 machine. And the next thing is to set up our RDS, our database. So I can come here and type RDS. So it's going to come up with Aurora and ADS. I'll right click and open. Okay. And now I'm in my AWS Console. I will click on database, and I will click on create database. I will go with standard create. And don't forget, I have chosen Postgres SQL in my security group. So I will go with Postgres SQL. And then it has loaded the engine version. I will go with the engine version, and I will go with free tier here because we just want to test the connectivity. We are not interested in every other thing. And I'm going to go with single AZ database instance. And after that, we need to give our database a name. So I've just called this one RDS database, RDS database 1. And I will go ahead, I will leave the master name as Postgres, and I'm going to go with self-manage. We have explained all this in our previous video. You might want to watch it to, understand better. And I'm going to go with auto-generate password. And also, I will keep this as default. I will move ahead and try to do, I will leave the storage at 20. Let's look at what we see under additional storage. Okay, this is fine. I will keep it. And here, very important, we have two options here for the connectivity, which is the cross of our discussion here. Now we have the two options to connect to our database, and those two options we are going to exploit them. Okay. Now we have either to connect directly to EC2 machine, which is something we want to do. But we have two options. We can either create the database and later set up our EC2 machine along with it, or we can connect to EC2 machine since we already have the EC2 machine running. So, and that is what we are going to do for this first method. We already created our EC2 machine, so we are just going to connect to it right away. So I'll select connect to EC2 machine, and it's going to give me the option to select. Remember when I click on this one, there was no option, but here it says connect to EC2 machine, and it's going to give me an option to connect. And don't forget, this is my EC2 machine with the name RDS server. I will select it. Unfortunately, we still have to do all of this because this will fail, and I will show you the reason why it failed. So I'm going to go with automatic setup, and I'm going to go with VPC security group. We already created it. I will select it, RDS, and I will leave every other thing as it is because it's going to fail and we'll come back. So I'll go and create it now and I'll show you why it will fail. So if I click on create, I will see it's going to throw up an error and they'll fix it. Look at it. It said you can't create this database instance because this US East one target. Let's just see um, the let's see the error I'm trying to show you. Okay, does not currently have sufficient capacity for this storage. We launch into availability zone or choose availability zone this or this. Okay, we can change this, but this is not even the exact error I'm looking at. So let's try something else. Just hang on a second. So if you look at the error says so you can create this size of let me try to zoom out. So you cannot create this size of database in this availability zone because there's no sufficient capacity. So what we can do is to let's adjust our capacity, okay, and then I will be able to be able to create it. But that is just exactly what I want to explain. So I'm going to zoom back in, and then we'll go back, and then we'll go to adjust our capacity. So everything still remain the same. Um, Postgres, the engine, free tier, single availability zone. The name is still RDS database one, and our username is Postgres. We'll go with self-manage, auto-generate password. So here, instead of T4G, we'll go with T3 micro, which is a very small size. And then we'll leave this as 20. We'll keep this as it is. Then we choose connect to EC2. We choose our EC2, and you can see immediately we choose our EC2. It has locked down the VPC, and it says what? VPC cannot some VPC change can some VPC setting cannot be changed when a compute resource is added. So this one is already locked down, so we can't change it. And DB subnet group, you can create a new one. We already have a 16 one. You can select that as well, but let's go with new one. And public access is very important. That is what we want. We don't want to do. Public access. You can see that since we choose EC2 machine, it has locked down the public access to only no. That means you cannot connect through public access. Then the existing security group, yes, we created security group, so we have selected it. And then what other thing? Let's see, additional configuration. Yeah, the port is fine. Password authentication, which is correct. Database insight. Retention period, that is fine. 7 days is okay. Then we'll go to additional configuration. What is the initial name of our database? Let's just call it biometrics database. It doesn't matter. And retention period, I will keep it as 0. I don't want any snapshot retention. I will leave the encryption as it is. Everything looks fine. Then I will close this error, and I will go ahead now and create my database. And I think we should be fine this time. I'll create database. Let us see if it is okay. Okay, this seems to be good. Let me see. So I will close this. I'll drop an error. What is this? Okay, that is the previous one. So now it's creating our database and it's in progress. So this usually take a couple of minutes, like 5 to sometimes 8 minutes. So what I'm just going to show you now is why we wait for this to be created. Now, immediately you click on create, RDS will go and create its own network. Okay, you have provided your network by giving it the VPC where you want your RDS to stay and where you want your EC2 to stay and how you want them to connect. But RDS will now go and do its own under the hood network. So if I take you to let's see VPC now, you can see that a lot of VPC has been created. What I have before were just the default VPC. This six VPC was what I used to have. 6, where is it? Yeah, this is what I used to have, and this. So every other one is being created by RDS by itself. You can see RDS subnet private 1, RDS private subnet 3. It is being created by itself. You can see these are the subnets. And if you go to route table 2, you can see that it has been added. What we created was we created server route table and RDS route table, and I had the default route table before. But you can see that RDS has created its own route table, okay, and connected it to 5 subnets, and it has provided some route. If you click on it too, you can see some route there. So this is just to let you know that um, RDS service is a self-managed service, and AWS will do a lot of work for you underneath the hood that you will not, you might not even be aware of. The same thing applicable to security group. If I go to security group, let me scroll down to security group, and you're going to see that a lot of security. Oh, you can see it. A lot of security groups have been created. You can see all these RDS, EC2, RDS, RDS4. All these are all um, all these are all created by RDS underneath the hood. Don't forget, the only thing that we created by ourselves was just the server RG and RDS RG. Every other one here is being created by AWS. So this is what they do for you. They do the heavy lifting and just allow you to concentrate on your database. So the database is creating. We are going to give it some time. I'm going to pause the video, and when it is created, we will back to explore it further. So I didn't have to stay too long, and then after a couple of minutes, the RDS is created, and if you click here, it says view connection details, and of course you can see this is the username and this is the password. Of course, we did the password by auto generation, so and this is the RDS endpoint. Now at the moment, the RDS is undergoing configuration. It's a configuration, it has monitoring, and then, but I think we can go ahead and connect now. So we still have this. I can copy the password somewhere. Let me copy the password, and I'm going to paste it here. Okay. Now let us head over to our EC2 machine. If we head over to our EC2, I'll close this, and I'll go to my EC2. I'll open it in another tab. Let me close some of these. Okay, now, and let's click on instance running. And we already have our RDS server running. So which is with this that we are going to connect to it. So I will click on RDS. I'll select the server and I'll click on connect. And you can see that session manager is activated. You can see it. So normally we will have connected through SSS client, but you can see now no associated key pair. And we did it by intention because we don't want to expose our machine to public to SSH connection. So, and we are not going to be using instant key access. So instead, we'll be using session manager, which is very secure. So I'll click on connect, and this is going to open our terminal in RDS. I mean in session manager. So now we are connected, and so we need to now connect to. Now we have connected to EC2 machine to session manager. We now need to connect from our EC2 machine to our RDS. Now, this is the command. The command is this, and I will explain it. Let me just copy it here. We have two ways, whichever way you want to do it, either this, but I like the short one. Let's copy the short one. And I'm just going to paste it and I'll explain. So let me zoom out a little bit. What this is doing is saying PostgreSQL, which is the engine, the host is your database endpoint. The username is the database username. The port is the Postgres port, and the database is the name of your database. Okay, and when you click enter, when you provide all this information, you click enter, it's going to ask you for the password of the database and you can connect. But this will not work because database PostgreSQL is not installed on this machine. So if I click on PostgreSQL now, I'm going to close this and I'll just type PostgreSQL and type enter. You can see now I say, what, PSQL not found. Okay, PSQL is not found on this machine because there's no PostgreSQL installed on this machine. So the first thing we need to do now is to install PostgreSQL on our database. So, and how do we do that? I will clear the screen. The first thing I'm going to do is to update my machine. Anytime you launch a virtual machine, it is important to update it. So I'll do sudo apt install update. So that will install all the necessary updates. Okay, so packages update, sudo apt install update. Okay. Oh, sorry. You just sudo apt update, not install update. Yeah, my apologies for that. So this is going to run all our um, updates and go to make all the packages available for us to use. So let's allow it a few minutes. And after that, we'll go ahead and install our RDS machine. So I think we are fine now. Let me minimize so that we can see the package where we show. Now we have all the packages. I'm going to clear the screen and we're going to install our RDS, and that will be sudo apt install PostgreSQL Postgres SQL. Let us also add all this contributory all this contributory stuff there so that we can install all the packages. Sorry, Postgres SQL. It's just one S. Postgres SQL, and we'll do Postgres SQL contrib. You can always get all this from your, from online. So I think this will work. So yes, so this will what install Postgres on our EC2 machine, and that is the engine that we need to connect our database. So um, that is loading. Okay, so now it's connected. So let us see if let us start the machine. Sudo systemctl status. Let us see if it's working. PostgreSQL. You can see now it is active and it is enabled. So we have our Postgres installed on our machine. So I'm going to clear the screen. And now we need to what? We need to uh, log in into our Postgres machine. So I'll pull up my terminal and let us use this command to log in by filling the necessary one. So I'm just going to come over here. I'm going to paste it, and we are going to put in our values. So let's go to our computer. The first thing is we need the endpoint for the host. So I will go to my machine. I will click on connection, and this is our endpoint. I will copy it. I will go back to my notepad, and I will place this with the endpoint. Then the next thing is the username. I'll go back. I'll copy the username, which is Postgres. I'll copy the username, which is Postgres. I'll go to my terminal, and I will replace this with the username, Postgres. There, the port is fine. And what is our database name? Don't forget we gave our database name. I believe you can remember it. Let's just close this. And if I take you back, let me minimize this a little bit. If I click on my database, and if you can go to configuration, you can see this is my database. This is database ID. It's different from database name. This is the database name, biometrics DB. So let's copy it. Let's go back here and let's paste that. So we have supplied all the information now. So I'm going to copy everything, and I'm going to head over to my terminal, and I'm going to right click and paste, and I'll click enter. and it's asking for password for the user Postgres. So I'll go to my machine now, database. I hope I've not closed it. Anyway, okay, still here. I'll just click here and copy the password. Don't forget, I also have it on my notepad. And I'll come back here. I will right click and paste the password. It's not going to show, and I'll click enter. And now you can see we are inside our Postgres SQL. So you can see now that we are inside this Postgres SQL. So we have been able to successfully connect to our database, connection, and we can begin to work with the database. Okay, so before we try the second way to configure EC2 machine, let's just play around with a couple of commands here. Yeah, it is just to catch some fun. We don't really need that. So let me see if I can see an RDS command here. Let me see this. Okay, let's see. This is going to create a table. Let me see if it's going to work. I don't know if the same command would do there. So I'll go here. I'll go here and I will just type it. I'll click enter. Okay, it actually created a table. You can see now it says create table, and then we will insert this into the table. We will insert all this into the table. Just to show you that we have connected to the database, I'll click enter. It has installed 3 items, and we're going to query it. We're going to query it. Let us see. Let's ask for some query. And if I paste this and I paste it, and you can see it returns some tables. Okay, I'm very sure we can set some, we can update, we can change things on the table, and and for those of you that are database administrator or user, you can other method. Now, there's a way you can create your, your EC2 machine, create your RDS separately, and then connect them. That means even if you have an existing RDS and you have a separate EC2 machine, you can also connect them together even without connecting the EC2 machine to the database at the point of creation. And that is what we are going to be doing now. So we are going to be creating another another EC2 machine to connect to the same database. Don't forget that when we were creating this database, we selected this EC2 machine because the EC2 machine was existing. But in this case now, we are going to create a separate EC2 machine, and we are going to connect it to a database. And here you are going to see how RDS or AWS will create a connectivity between the existing EC2 machine and the RDS. But one thing that is important is that both your EC2 machine and the RDS must be in the same VPC. You have to bear that in mind. So that is what we are going to be looking at now. So we head over to our EC2 machine. So we'll click on launch instance. I'll call it RDS server 2. We'll stick with Ubuntu, and we'll choose this. Let's say we'll go for 20 T2 medium, no key pair. We edit, select our VPC, and don't forget it has to be in our public subnet, which is server subnet. That's very important. IP should be enabled, and then security group. We select our server security group, which is right down here. You can just increase this one to 15 or 20, as the case may be. We'll go to advanced details. We'll add our instance profile for SSM manager or SSM or session manager. We'll scroll down. Now, but if you recall, in the previous EC2 connection, we had to install PostgreSQL on the server after we have connected to it. So instead of doing that, we can just, you know, we can just pre-install the SQL at the point in which the EC2 machine is created using the function of that we call user data. If you scroll down to the bottom of the machine here, there is a portion there called user data, which allow you to put in some command that you want to be pre-installed at the point in which the machine will be available. So I'll just come here now and I will click, I'll put this there. If you remember, this is the command that I ran when I installed PostgreSQL. I updated my server and I installed Postgres. So the same command I have put here. So that means when this machine is being set off, this command will run and install whatever that we have put here. So I will go ahead and click on launch. So this is going to take a couple of minutes to run. When this is done, we will come back and we'll look at the machine and explore it. So if I click on instance, let us click on the one that are running. This is terminated. Um, so this is the only one that is running. Let's give it all. So you can see this is the machine now is pending. And when it is done, we'll be back to explore it. I will see you in a few minutes. So after a couple of minutes, our server is up and running, as you can see it here. So the next thing is we're going to connect to it. So I'll select it. I'll click on connect. And you can see that session manager is already active. And I will click on connect. And now we are in session manager. I will just zoom out a little bit. Now, let us check if our PostgreSQL is installed. So I will just do sudo systemctl status PostgreSQL. You can see now that PostgreSQL is installed, it is active, and it is what enabled. So this is how you can, pre-install um, packages or services or tools that you need to run in your EC2 machine. You can pre-install them. So now we are going to go and copy the same command, but don't forget that we have not connected to our. We have not connected, even though we have installed um, Postgres on this machine, we have not established the relationship between the connectivity between the EC2 machine and the RDS. I think you understand that. Now we have created our RDS separately, and it was after that we created the EC2 machine. We have not linked them, but let us see. Let us try to. Now, I want us to connect between. Let me zoom out. I want us to create the connectivity between our new server and the old one. So I'm going to click on this one. And if you go to action, you will see under networking. If you click on networking, you will see what? Connect to RDS database. Connect to RDS database. So if you click on this and you select instance, and you will see a drop down here, and then we can select our database. I will click on connect. And look at what is happening now. Database is creating its own connection. You can see he has done all this connectivity for you. He will create the security group. He will check if there's security group. If there's none, he will create it. He will create connectivity, create security group for egress, create security group for ingress, remove default one, attach the security group, and it will do all of this for you. Okay. And so we can easily now work with our database. Now, how do we know? This is the new database that I have connected to the old one. But don't forget, it's the same database. I'm just connecting two different terminal. So that means if I want to look for the table, let me just go and look for the table that we created the other time. Okay, I think this is it. So let's create this table. Don't forget that we did not create this new table now. We have only connected to the same database from a different machine. So if I paste this, you can see I'm able to get the same table back. So that means I've been able to connect to the same database from a different terminal. So this is how you can do it. So that means you don't have to create your EC2 instance at the point of creating the database. You can actually create the both of them separately and now connect them together. So if you have any existing database, as long as it's in the same VPC with the EC2 machine, you can create a connection between them and you'll be able to connect securely. I hope you have enjoyed this video. My intention was to make it a little bit short, but because of those fillers of explanation that we made, it actually took a longer period. I apologize for that, and I hope you will know, try to do it in your environment and to see how it looks like. If you have any comment, please, or have any question, kindly put it in the comment section. I will try to respond as quick as possible. All of those commands, you can just use one of the AI, Gen AI, to get command. Just ask them to give you command to install SQL, command to to experiment with SQL. You can try that in your environment. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.